There we go. Hello, everyone. Erica, Mike, Gabriella, how are you all doing? Welcome, Piers, co-host.
Hello, hello. How are we?
Very good. So today we're going to go over the personal assistant agent that I built. Out of curiosity, who saw the agent that I built, the assistant that I built on LinkedIn? Did anyone see that? Is that the reason why they're here? Would love to know. Yeah, Mike, you did? Okay, cool. Kalpesh, welcome. Did not know you were joining. No, no one's. Some people didn't see it. Okay, cool. So we'll start with like a high-level summary basically about what I built, and then it come to be inspired. Let's see if we can inspire you. And then we'll dive into it. So, for those of you that joined the previous session a couple of weeks ago, I've started running these bi-weekly sessions. They're pretty informal kind of webinars. They're more me basically me just showing some of the agents that I'm building, showing how I'm building them, and then of course happy to share the actual JSON of the agent should you wish to use it. Um, to do this agent, I've used primarily, or not primarily, I've used completely n8n, which is probably one of the tools that I would recommend when it comes to using automation. So let's boil it all the way back to the start. Why did I create this kind of personal assistant agent? Well, I absolutely suck at getting back to people. I have too many Slacks, too many emails, too many things going on, and I have probably the world's worst undiagnosed ADHD. So I just bounce between a million different ideas and it's just kind of going like that. And so I thought, well, wouldn't it be cool to actually have AI to be generally useful outside of the norms that we all think about and actually help me with my day to day and kind of empower me to be a better kind of founder and whatever we want to be. And so thus, this kind of agent was created to kind of help me manage all of that. And there's actually so much that we could do with this agent. This is very much like a V1 version. And there's a lot of opportunity to make this even better than what it is. Now, caveat, there are some tools out there. I think there's a tool called Fixer AI, which you can sign up to, which kind of does uh, elements of what this does. My opinion, it's not as in depth and not as good, and you obviously have to pay for it. So this is more of like a an in-depth version of a tool like Fixer, and you can take this, and you can take it a lot further and kind of highly customize it as well. So, without further let's dive into the agent. Um, so we've got two different agents, or technically multiple. We've got two different kind of agentic workflows that are in operation and running for me on a daily basis. The first one is the first part of this puzzle, which is basically the email manager. And so let me actually take us a step back and kind of break this down and have a look at it. If we look at like your inbox, your emails as like a channel, you have far too many emails coming in for an agent to truly work out what is important and what isn't important. And so you need to first of all tackle that situation, which is, actually organizing your inbox before anything else. Okay. And so before we actually get any levels of more sophisticated kind of PA levels, we just need to first of all sort out the actual kind of email inbox that is, because Slack tends to be a little bit quieter. It's easier to manage and maintain, but your emails can get overloaded, especially if you're getting a lot of kind of cold emails and things like that, marketing stuff. So, step one, and the first kind of agent that we build, an agentic workflow that we build, is just an email manager. And I've had this one running. How long have I had this one running for, Piers? A long time, actually, this one. You're on mute.
I'm muted there. Sorry, I muted myself. There was, yeah, you've had it running for quite a while, and I tried to recreate it, which I managed to do, which was, and I think as like, especially as someone starting out like me in sort of the world of n8n, and it can be quite overwhelming. This was quite a good one to start with. Um, Although saying that, I have noticed that like I use Apple Mail, right? And Apple Mail have just come out with an automatic categorization thing. So I'm now testing my own against theirs.
Very good.
So far, it's
I've
proving pretty
I've
good.
made it better since you've used it though. So let me explain what I'm doing here, and we'll dive into the details a little bit more here. So first of all, what this is doing is this isn't marking as read or anything like this. This is effectively assigning a label. Okay, and so like if we look at like your inbox, because you can see here, like I'm very bad. I just pick and choose the emails that I want to read, which is atrocious. But it's basically giving you the labels that you need to look at, and it's going to start to assign that for you. Don't look at my inbox and get anxiety because I know a lot of people do. Everything is it's chaotic order. I don't know what the quote is there, but it's there is sense to the madness of my inbox.
It's when you
Anyway,
see the 1,000 notifications on your phone or something over the mail
yeah,
app.
exactly. So we start off the workflow with a trigger, the trigger being just a simple Gmail trigger. Okay. And so what that basically means is that is pulling in anytime I get a new email, that starts this workflow running. Then what we have is the next step in this flow, which is we're just going to get the email itself, which basically means we're going to get the contents of the actual email. And if we have a look, actually, oh look, one's running right now. I just got an email. So here we go. And so what it's doing is it's getting all of the information that is associated with that email, which is all of the text, all of this stuff as well. So then what it's doing is it's sending the text of the email through to this AI agent. And let's have a look at the system prompt that I have going on here. So the objective is to analyze the provided email data and classify it with the most appropriate label. Utilize the capability to check for prior email history to determine if this is the first time interaction, cold email, or part of an existing relationship. This context is crucial for accurate labeling, especially for distinguishing between marketing notifications and FYI. Respond with only the corresponding label ID. And so then I basically go and give it a load bit more information, and then I start to actually explain to it the different IDs that I want it to give. So we have the to respond label. This is the label ID, and then I basically describe the key indicators on what I basically deem as an email that needs to be labeled as to respond. Same for then kind of FYI, same for then comment, same for then notification emails, so on and so on and so on. And again, don't worry, guys, I'm going to share this. If you want it, I can share this JSON, which means you'll get the prompt as well coming in here. So you don't need to screenshot this or anything. I can do all that. Um, this is so long and short. This is basically just explaining the different labels within that, and then all of the information coming in, and then I just have it running the task. Okay, but a couple of key things that I think are important to mention here. So previously, Piers, when you use this, my original version of this agent, it was just simply doing that. But I noticed with everything, and if you've joined me on other calls, I talk about how context is key with agents. If you don't give it good context, the results of your agent will always be subpar. And so it has to have context. And that context can come in the form of knowledge bases, that context can come in the form of history, it can come in many shapes and sizes. For this particular one, it is checking to see if I have any history, and the context is history. So, have I ever received an email from this person or someone from that company before? Which is what this node is doing here, which is getting any previous history. And this then it's also checking to see if I've ever sent them any emails. Because here's the kicker. Cold emails are getting pretty good now. And a lot of times people don't really, they're getting also very clever with their unsubscribe links, i.e. they're doing like PS, if you don't want to hear from me, let me know. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take in all the context, and I'm not against cold emails because I do cold emails, but I kind of want to label that and I want to know, and I can go in then and choose that. I don't want it cluttering up certain kind of, key to responds that are really important for me to reply to. And then we're using a structured output parser, which basically that sounds fancy, but all I've done here is I've toggled this on here, and I'm basically saying, okay, your output, your response needs to be essentially this, which is the label name and the label ID, because that's then getting fed through to a new node, which is just add the label to the message. where basically it takes the message ID that I got from the previous step and the new label name or the ID. In this case, it's the label ID. And then that basically just tags it. And so that's step one of a web of steps that we're going to go over, but probably the most key to organizing your inbox. And the reason why we do this is when it comes to running the agent in the next step, which if we come and have a look at this, leave without changing, and we look at this particular flow, we don't want this to run. We don't want it to run every single time and go check Slack, go check everything. We only want it to run once a day. And that's really important because otherwise you're going to spend a lot of cash. And yeah, we could build a workflow that has even more steps and looks really, really fancy. But here's the thing, if you're sharing stuff like that on LinkedIn, which a lot of people do, it's purely just because it looks good. But the actual costs and the infrastructure that it requires to run these things day in, day out starts to become astronomical and is really pointless. So you break it down into sub steps, and that gives you a lot more control. And you need to think about where do you want the agent to look at and have the most kind of depth. And for me, that then is in two folders that it's going to look at. And the two folders or the labels are the FYI and the to respond, which are the kind of like, in my case, the two most important kind of labels that I would want something to look at. I don't really feel like I need to respond to a marketing email. Therefore, I don't need the agent to have a look at that or anything like that. And by the way, if we have questions, just chuck them in. Chuck them in as we go through as well. We don't need to wait to the end for any questions. So this one does look a little bit more monstery, but let's break it down into steps. But you'll notice, first of all, we have four different agents running as part of this agentic workflow. So step one is the email assistant. This email assistant, as I just mentioned, is going to go and initially get the emails that I have basically not looked at or read. And you can see here we're looking at like an unread email. So we're getting the emails and we're getting it specifically from the to responds and the FYI labels that was already categorized by everything in that previous step. Then what it's going to go do is once it gets the message ID, it's going to go get the email, which basically means it's going to get the full text. And it's also going to check to see if I've ever sent any emails to these people or not. And the simple kind of case here is we're going to say, okay, hey, you are the personal assistant for Max Mitchum. You are my proactive personal assistant dedicated to streamlining my communications, ensuring follow through for Max Mitchum, especially regarding my work with Triggerfy. You have access to and will manage my email, Slack, and calendar. Core daily objectives. And the first one that I wanted to do is priority email triage. So scan my inbox for unreplied emails, flag emails requiring a response, categorizing them by urgency, note emails specifically related to active Triggerfy sales leads, potential ongoing partnerships, and then just important stuff. Check any sent emails to see if there is any context you require around the unread emails. And then when checking to see if I've followed up with someone from a meeting, you can also use the check sent tool. And I give it the check sent tool example there as well. So basically what this is doing, long and short of this, is it's saying, okay, hey, any unread emails, go see if I've ever sent them stuff, get as much context as you require before you essentially assign the kind of categorization as this is really important to reply to, and you need to reply to that person.
We had a question um, from her saying any credit cost indication per month of this agent.
I'm assuming you're talking about the email one that I had running. It depends on the it depend. I can't really answer that one to be honest, because it depends one on how many emails you get, and then it depends two on um the model that you use. I'm spending about three to $5 um a month on labeling mine. It's really cheap because it's not a lot, but I use a cheap model. You don't need it to be super sophisticated. You don't need like the expensive models there. But again, if you're getting thousands and thousands of emails a month, these things will it won't rack up. It will always be quite a cheap step, just the labeling of things. This particular flow that we're looking at here, again, it's how long is a piece of string? How many Slack messages do you get? How many calls do you take? How many emails do you do? Typically, this is costing anywhere between like, 50 cents to maybe $1.50 to run, and I have it running 5 days a week. I don't have it running per day. So you're talking maybe like it's going to cost you probably like $30, $40 in total a month to do everything that I'm doing here. So yeah, you factor that in when you're thinking about this. Certainly a lot cheaper than hiring a PA, that's for sure. Um, so yeah, so going back to the email assistant, it's getting all the context and then using that to assign a priority there. So then we go through to what I call like the follow-up assistant. So one of my big bugbears is I take somewhere north of like 7 calls a day. Um, and you just forget. You forget things. You forget to follow up with people. Um, is this being recorded? Yeah, it's being recorded from the beginning as well, David. Don't worry. You forget to follow up with people. You forget to do, just important stuff. Listen, we're all human at the end of the day. And so what I have is a follow-up assistant. So first things first, you will notice that I'm actually not sending any information from the previous step through to this agent. So in theory, you could build this as a total standalone agent if you really wanted to, but it's just basically triggering and it just runs once a day. You can have it sitting inside of this section if you wanted to. Totally fine. And this follow-up assistant is doing the following. So um, I won't go over the whole prompt, but high level, what this is doing is it's saying, okay, hey, go get me all of the meetings that I have had in the last 3 days and bring those people forward, basically. Like, bring that data forward. Give me the names of those people. Um, and once we have the names of those people, I want you then to go and check my Fireflies. So if you don't know what Fireflies is, it's a call recording system. There are so many out there. The reason that I really like Fireflies is it has a really good API. It's a graph QL API. So basically, I can query whatever I want to pull like the transcripts out of that. Like if you're on any of these calls with me all the time, two things that I always talk about and bang on about is every tool that you need to have, it needs to have the ability to query information in and out of it. And whenever giving a prompt to an AI, always use Markdown, like a Markdown or HTML format, basically. So you can see here, this is all Markdown. AIs can read that better. So there's the two things that I kind of preach. But yeah, so it then basically goes and takes the meetings from my last 3 days and goes and checks the transcripts of Fireflies to see was a follow-up required? Was this a spicy meeting? Was it good? Do we think there's something there? Usually it will get that through the next steps from the transcript. And then it will go and check my sent emails to see if I did actually send them a follow up. One thing that I've started doing now a lot more is I don't actually send emails. I do Slack channels now. So I need to add in a step here to check to see if I've created a Slack channel with that user. Because I just find like follow up is way better and for sales processes, Slack just seems way better to have that like asynchronous conversation going on. But if you're email driven like I was, this is like a great step. So that then checks to see if I've actually sent the email or not to that person. If I haven't, it's going to create a to-do task for me as the output that it's going to give. So if we go back to here, it then says, if we come all the way down here, summary of the outputs, a list of meetings flagged for potential issues, i.e., there was no transcript found. So sometimes I don't add my fireflies in, and I want it to be like to alert that to me, being like, okay, hey, was there anything important from this meeting? For example, if I was meeting with a potential investor or something like that, um, I wouldn't want to bring the fireflies into that, but I would want this agent to notify me. He's like, hey, I couldn't see any transcripts from this. Do you need to reply to this person? And it kind of just reminds me. And then the other one was a list of meetings flagged for action required, follow up pending.
Got a question asking if it could work with Microsoft.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just you need to go and add the steps in here. So just simple, it's a simple node within the workflow itself. I'm obviously just using Gmail, but all you would do is just replicate what I've done here with the equivalent Outlook nodes. Um So then you go on to the Slack assistant. So again, no information is being passed through here. It's just triggering it to run once a day at this point. And here, what we're doing is we are basically going and checking Slack mentions. So the first thing it's doing here is we're basically searching. You need to find your user ID Slack mention. And then you're going to say, okay, hey, go check the last 25 messages that this person, in this case, that's me, has basically received and sort by newest first. Then what it's going to do is also going to check any thread mentions from any channel ID that it finds. And then it's going to get the users of people that I need to reply to. And so what that basically means when we roll this all up into one kind of high level is, hey, this is my user ID. Go have a look at any DMs or messages that I've been tagged in that I haven't then followed up with them within a thread or a new message. And so what that basically means is if someone messages me on Slack and I don't reply to them, it's going to pick that up and flag back to them that that is happening, basically. And that's the Slack assistant. That is a super handy one, and I just that I get so many DMs that get buried or like lost in threads, and so very, very handy for that. So then we go into this master orchestrator agent, which essentially is taking everything that I have done from the previous steps. So we have the inputs from the previous agent. So we have the email triage agent. This is the variable that we're getting from that agent. We have the meeting follow-up agent. We have the Slack activity agent. And then we also have the previous to-dos here. So what I've done is every time that this master orchestrator agent basically runs, it saves the information into a Google Sheets where I then also give the agent the ability to read that Google Sheet to look at previous to-dos. And so what it's doing is it's basically doing the following is it's taking all of the following agents outputs. It's basically then being like, okay, I'm going to read through all of this. I'm going to assign it into a nicely like drafted format for Max to read. I'm going to truly work out, are these important? I'm going to look at my previous to-dos to see if any have reoccurred, and I'm going to then flag that as more important because if a to-do has been outstanding for 2 days that I've still not done, it's going to assign a new priority matrix to that. Um, and then it will basically complete the output and then save that new output into G Sheets. I don't actually go in and ever look at this. But you can see here I've got all like the to-dos basically coming in along with the today the date, so it will know what to look at there. The reason I don't go in and look at this is because I don't live in Sheets. I live in Slack and other places, and it then sends me the Slack notification where I basically get this message every day at I think I run it at 8 a.m. If we go back to look at the schedule trigger, yeah, so it runs 8 a.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So every day at 8 a.m., I get a Slack message that gets sent to me via the agent that says, "Hi Max," and then it inserts the information that was compiled from this master orchestration agent. And so then I have a flick through that, and then it reminds me what to do. Now, one thing that I've already noticed, so for context, I've had this agent running the last uh, maybe 2 weeks. Um, the previous agent that I showed you, which was the email labeling agent, I've had that running for nearly a year. Um, but already within 2 weeks, one thing that I've noticed is I still get like a little bit like I read it, I've become better at actioning things. But I still like kind of look at it and think, yeah, I need to do that, and then kind of don't. So one thing that I'm basically going to work on and do is giving it the ability to actually block out time in my calendar to complete the to-dos. So every to-do it gives me a summary of how long it thinks it will take me to do. So it might say like this will take you 30 minutes or this will take you an hour to do. I then want it to find a time in my diary for that day or the next day if needs be and block out an admin hour, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it will be. to actually complete those tasks as well. So that's kind of like an iteration that I've already thought about that I want to do because I still it's just another thing that I read and then kind of don't reply to a lot of it. It's made me like 20-30% more efficient. And I reckon if I add that in, then it's going to make me maybe like 60-70% more efficient because I'll actually focus on doing those tasks kind of when I require doing that.
Can
That's
we see an example of it in the Slack?
yes, that's a good. Let me stop sharing here. Let me open my Slack. So it comes in as it comes in as like a Jarvis like so I called my assistant Jarvis after Iron Man. Can you see that?
Hmm.
So yeah, so it comes in here. Um and this is like the messages I get in the morning. So channel, like what I need to do, technical follow-up request, email follow-up required, invoice follow-up required here. And so I can just read through this. One thing, like I can read this quite easily because I'm quite used to like markdown format. Um, you might be reading this, Jesus, this is a little bit like chaotic. So what you would then just do is in that Slack section, you can just format it to look nice. You can remove the markdown. Given I've been working with agents like solidly like the last year and a half, I've just almost become better at reading these types of things than normal text these days, which is a bit weird.
That's where
Um,
I feel like that's where I'd spend most of my time. Like, I want this bit bold, this bit this, even spacings.
Yeah, and you can do that, right? Like you can do that. You would just format it. You can actually build in here. You could build like a block element, which basically means, um, let me just see if I can find you an example of that. So you could have it like designed to be really nice as it comes in. So this is like an example one that we have, which just monitors when we pick up not not enough coverage on like a post. So this is like it's it's like formatted in a nice way. You could have it formatted in like that style as well if you wanted to. And you would do that through the message type and you would change it from simple text message to block messages. And then you also would then you just kind of design it from there. Little bit more complex. So if you wanted a simpler way, you would keep it as simple text message, and you would just make sure that this agent doesn't do its output as markdown. You would just you would tell it to structure it in like the correct format and whatnot.
And so going about this agent, because you did you build all of that at once, or did you sort of build it in bits and bobs and just added to it over time? Because I feel like for a lot of people creating something like that, I mean, there's a lot of different agents working together there, right? So was that
Um,
just a one time sort of you built it, or
yeah, sadly it was. I'd like to give you the advice that you would break it down, and you definitely should. Like the best way of building agents is um first of all map it out. So like that's what I had to do with this one first, and I did do that, which was like, okay, how did I what do I need it to do? And so I went to like Whimsical or Miro or whatever you want to use. And I was like, well, these are the key channels that I have a nightmare with. And these are the key issues that I have a nightmare with. Because you got to get that out because that's going to start to like inform how you build this thing. And then from there you can start to put like the jigsaw pieces together and you break it down into subtasks. And those subtasks are basically sub-agents. And they can or cannot have context from each other. Um, and I built it. Yeah, I built it. That took about an hour to build and pull together, and then it's been a massive time saver already. But the email one that I did prior to that, I built ages ago. So it's like all things with iterate with agentic workflows and just anything. You have like a V0, then you have a V0, V1, V2, V3 like versions of these as you think, okay, this is how I can tinker with this and improve this. And like I've already said, I'm going to go and add some calendar steps, things like that to like improve it and make it like even better as well. And the other thing that I then am also going to add to it is it's going to start drafting up replies for me. It won't send it because I don't want it to do fully automated, but I can add then a link into Slack where I hit approve, and then all I got to do is go through and hit approve, 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 and that will then trigger it replying to people, sending to people, and whatnot as well, which will then save even more time.
Nice.
Cool. Well, listen, that concludes kind of the session today. Any questions before we wrap up like our little agent build that we done today? As always, in another couple of weeks, I will go over another agent that I've built. If you have any recommendations or things that you want to see me build, or go over things that I built, let me know. And I can kind of uh, dive into that as well.
Or you can get access to them all here. So if you just go to Substack, that's where you're going to be posting them all.
Yeah, I post all my agents. There's like a file inside of my Substack as well, that I post all of my agents via the JSON file. David had a question here. What's a good estimate of time to have an acceptable agent? Um, are you saying, David, is like how long does it take to build an agent? Like, because I've sometimes spent, 2, 3 days building an agent where I just bang my head against things a little bit. That's too long. I guess it's a hard question to answer because it depends on the impact of that agent and what is the ROI of that impact, if that makes sense. Because if it's like if that moves the needle for you massively, then it's totally acceptable to spend time, a day, 2 days building out an agent that could then have a huge impact. So I'll give you an example. Um, I built out funny enough, a post that I did today, which is like I send personalized ebook lead magnets to people at scale. Um, that was a very hard agent to build. That took me maybe a good day and a half to build, but the net impact of that has been huge. The team book, close to 3 to 5 meetings a day as a result of that one agent that I basically built. So, the net positive on that is huge just for the fact that it took me a day and a half of solid building basically to get that in. On average, I would say agents take me anywhere between half an hour to an hour to build if they're kind of like a low to moderate kind of complexity. The more severe ones can go a little bit north of that. Is there a key way to learn you've got from anyone building, creating their first agent? What would it be from your 10,000 hours of trial and success? Um, so I spend a lot of time on YouTube. So first of all, I have a YouTube channel. So you can go there. I basically break down every agent that I build. I do these sessions on like YouTube as well. That's how I learn. I just used to go on YouTube, watch people do things, all of that. There are a lot of courses out there that you can take as well, which kind of go over like the basics. Again, I have one if you want to take one, but I'm not trying to plug it. There are loads of other courses and people that you could follow that are also really good. But if I'm totally honest, like the best way is it is rolling up the sleeves and putting a bit of elbow grease, but it's spending time watching people on YouTube, understanding how they're building something from start to finish, and then starting that process yourself and trial and error in doing that. You can obviously get all of my JSONs all day long. The best thing for you to do is maybe take one of my JSONs, have a look at it, have a read of what I've done, and then actually just try and recreate it yourself. Like build it yourself. You can copy, like you don't want to copy and paste, but you want to like go find the agent. You want to start typing in the system messages. By doing it, you will learn a lot faster than just kind of copying and pasting. And that will get you to kind of the levels that you require. I mean, Piers, that's a good question for you. You've become quite proficient recently in building agents. Like, what would you
I
say?
wouldn't say that. Yeah. For me, what really helped was using stuff like
Oh, God, yeah, true.
uh, Claude or GPT or something like that, because it was just like uh, it explained it in a way that I could make myself understand, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
And
You
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 can
just say to it like, explain this to me in a very like obvious, clear way, step by step for me. Like I didn't have GPT when I started with n8n or Claude. I would always use Claude, by the way, or Gemini for these things. Claude's probably a little bit better for like the n8n stuff. actually I'm going to retract my statement on the YouTube. I actually definitely go watch YouTube stuff, but God, you can knock these things out with Claude now. Just it's just going back and forth. Hey, I've got this error. What do I do now? Screenshot that error, chuck it in there. It's going to give you the results that you need to do. And it's just having that, it's just having time to kind of blunt force your way through that learning curve. And then you're going to be in a really good kind of new paradox there with
I
how quickly you can build
I
things.
think what your sort of things helped me with was getting the prompts right,
Yeah.
um, that sort of stuff, and just maybe certain things to toggle on and off that I maybe didn't know about. And so I see what's correct, but then I'll use something maybe like Claude to explain it further to me. Be like, why does this have to be, I don't know, post or get or whatever it is, or whatever little n8n features going on. Um, that was kind of my thing. What I want to try though is, and apparently there's a Google Chrome extension for n8n that I don't know if you've heard of it, Max. That basically you can like have it build you a workflow off like a prompt or something like that. I saw it on I think like an Instagram reel, and now I've got it. I'm yet to try it, but I was struggling to log into n8n the other day.
Yeah, that's cool. I think, ultimately learn the basics with n8n. The basics are if nodes, loop nodes, set nodes, HTTP nodes, webhooks. Those are kind of like the core fundamentals. Learn like generally how you see people shaping them. That's where it's really handy to watch the YouTube videos and then start using Claude. And that's probably like the best way of you learning. Uh,
Yeah,
Getting yourself to speed. But I feel like in this day and age, um, it's a key skill to have now. You have to be able to do these things. Um, Otherwise, you're going to get left behind. It's really that simple, I think. And I'm a true believer in that you don't need to have, quite to the level of knowledge perhaps that I do, but you need to know, like, you need to be able to build something basic for you to just, level yourself up and unlock kind of like a new kind of level of efficiency for yourself.
yeah.
Cool. Well, listen, love that one. That was a great one. We're going to do this again in a couple of weeks' time. So please join if you enjoy these sessions, learning about how I'm building agents. And they're all, here's the thing, guys. Everyone posts, I see a lot of stuff on LinkedIn where they're just posting stuff that you just know isn't production ready. These are all things that I'm generally using. These are things that I build for Triggerfy. And so they're live in production and working, at a scale that would need to be running as well.
Awesome.
Cool. All right, guys. See
Bye, everybody.
you later on. Bye bye.
Bye bye.